All right, let me pull up the show notes so I know what we're talking about today.
Let's start by singing Symphony.
No.
I just want to be part of your symphony. When you hold me close and don't let go.
I can still see the dolphins, so it works out.
It works.
Hello and welcome to the Nerdiest Podcast, the show where nerds talk about nerdy things. I'm your host with the most, who's always sleep deprived, Nick with no K, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, my ride or die, Mr. Jackson Glass. And today, we're going to be following up on something we talked about at the end of last episode, where we were coming up with like movies we'd delete for tax purposes. So now we have a whole list, and we're going to go through that, but we're going to do it draft style. So you're definitely going to want to stick around for that. But aside from that, we're also going to be talking about Joker 2 getting a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes and not doing too hot. James Cameron becoming an AI bro. The Fortnite Crocs collection. And Minecraft Live. So lots of fun things to talk about today, and you're going to want to stick around for all of that. But before we jump into that, Jackson, how have you been? How's your week been going?
Wow. Can I just say, host with the most that's always sleep deprived is such a good, little tag for you because it's so just accurate. And it was so funny because right before we were recording, he said, I think I just feel safe on the podcast because I'm really sleepy. And I was
like, dude, I don't know. I could conk out for 30 minutes, let you talk, take a nap, come back.
So this is my safe space. But yeah, I'm doing quite good. I didn't have a super eventful week, so I don't really have anything crazy to talk about. I'm getting ready to. This episode is pre-recorded, so keep that in mind if you are listening and you feel like this is kind of old news. This episode is pre-recorded because I'm about to go out of town, and I'm so ready to go out of town, and it's going to be so fun. This morning, I ran out of coffee, and since I'm about to go out of town, I was like, I don't really want to spend $20 on a bag of coffee to use for 2 days, and then leave for 8 days, but I'm also kind of what am I gonna do? But I did find a Starbucks gift card at work that I stole, and so I had that, and so I was working at Starbucks this morning, and I was working on a shot list because I'm shooting a music video this weekend, which I'm super excited about. And fun fact, if you have the Starbucks app, you can do free refills as long as you're in the store. So I got a tall blonde roast. And the blonde roast is my favorite. And I was like, tall blonde roast, and it was $3. And I used my gift card. And then I came back, and I was like, can I get a refill? And they were like, yeah. And I scanned my little app thing, and they were like, here you go. So as long as you stay in the store, you can get refills. So I had 2 blonde roasts. And I got a little distracted. I was building shot lists, and it took a little longer than I expected because I don't know how to use Excel, and I'm still learning. But I got distracted and had to run really quick and didn't eat breakfast. And so I had 2 coffees, no breakfast, and I was like, shoot, dude. And I had to go speak at an event this morning, and I went to go on stage. I was asked to pray at an event, and I went up there, and I was so sweaty. And I was like, oh my gosh. I think a combination of nerves and no breakfast. I was I could feel my heart rate, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm about to go on stage just dripping. And full new shirt needed level chest sweat. So that was funny. That was kind of interesting. We're playing a show tonight and playing an open mic to play our song Mandatory Socialization. If you don't know, listen to Jackson Glass on Spotify. Socialization, which means I get to play the talk box live, and I'm very excited about that. Update to follow on that. So other than that, this week I recorded a YouTube video that isn't out yet. I'm gonna get there, hopefully get to release it before I leave for fall break. No promises, but The main things I watched this week were I watched While You Were Sleeping, which is one of the most like iconic rom-coms of all time that I'd never seen. And honestly, quite good. I'm just constantly blown away by rom-coms and their lack of morals.
Yes.
And how it's essentially, and it's just a convention of the genre, but it's kind of like, yeah, you can pretend to be engaged to this man in a coma. Why not? You know? What's wrong with that? And it's kind of like, then the movie like bends over backwards to justify it, to like, so you don't feel like she's a bad person. And so I thought that was quite entertaining. And then I also went to the movie theater and saw the new DreamWorks movie, The Wild Robot, which I just recorded a YouTube video about. Man, no spoilers here, because all I'll say is I genuinely think it might be the best movie of the year so far. I cried so hard.
Wow.
Like, halfway through the movie, started crying, didn't stop until the credits were done. Like, genuinely another DreamWorks banger. I felt like it was like 2012 again. I was like, finally, a good animated movie in the theater. So, Wild Robot, please go see it. Let us know your thoughts. Genuinely the best movie I've seen in so long. So, anyway, that's pretty much what my week was about. Nothing too crazy, but Mr. Nick, tell me about your week. What have you been up to?
Well, I accidentally muted the music I was listening to on YouTube.
That's
which
awkward.
would explain why I couldn't hear it. So next, a little follow-up from last week or last
Again.
episode with the whole YouTube ad revenue thing. Got it all sorted out. Channel's monetized now. Memberships are turned on. All great, all fine and dandy. We're good. So there's your conclusion, your resolution to that.
So everyone go watch Nick's videos on loop and watch that check roll in.
Yeah, baby. It's great because, like, all of that money is going right back into the channel because I pay someone to edit my videos.
Let's
so
go.
Now it doesn't have to come out of pocket. So what I'm also trying to do is build up the members so I have a more consistent revenue stream.
Right.
Because I think I need, because I have a $3, $5, and a $10 tier. Not to, like, self-promo here, but if I can get, I think it's 8 $5 members or 4 $10 members, I will essentially have every month's budget covered. Because I put out about 4 to 5 videos a month, so anywhere between $40 and $50. Because I only pay my editor $10. So, hey, listen, that's what he wanted, and I was like, okay, cool. We're both trying to learn here. So, and I told him I would pay him more in the future as the videos got more intense and complicated, and you know, it's kind of a scaling increase. But yeah, so I'm trying to figure all that out. I've never done memberships actively before. The closest thing I've done is like the podcast with Patreon and our Spotify members. But even then, like, we only have one tier to manage, and we're barely managing that.
Right.
We'll come back to you after show members. I promise. We're gonna work on something very cool for you because you had to wait so long.
We're coming back. Don't you worry.
But essentially, outside of that, it's been a very long week. I'm very tired, but I also there's the yawning again. Oh my god. Anyway, I bought the Regal Unlimited this week. I got 3 months, so I can do October, November, December. I went and saw all of the movies I've seen this week were not included in the Regal Unlimited, so it was kind of pointless.
That's kind.
I went and saw the first Gundam movie with my friend Colin, and then last night I went and saw Howl's Moving Castle, which I'm going to do a video on that because it's a Studio Ghibli movie I actually liked. So, but that's all I'll say about that because that video is coming soon. And then Sunday I'm going to see another anime movie with Colin, and then next week I'm going to see the My Hero Academia movie Thursday night at 9 p.m.
Whoa,
I'm going
9
out
p.m. bro is not gonna beat the sleepy allegations.
No,
he
I'm
will
just gonna
be
try to sleep,
eepy.
go to bed earlier on Wednesday,
He's
so I
gonna
can
be eepy.
account for that sleep. So there's that. It's pretty great. We'll see. I've been in the theater more this week than I have in the past like 6 months, which is crazy because I've only been twice. I'm trying to think. Outside of that, nothing too crazy. Just been a week.
Yeah.
Very EP as always, but we power through. We make it, and it is what it is.
And here we are. We're back on the show. Yeah. Before we move on, I just wanted to say, if you're not following the Nerdiest Podcast on Instagram, what are you doing? The Nerdiest Podcast on Instagram or on YouTube, where you can watch video versions of the podcast and just see updates and just keep up with us. Or if that's not enough for you, you can go to thenerdiespodcast.com and get some of these dope shirts. I'm wearing our Rotten Tomatoes score shirt right now. That you
Rotten
can get
Tomatoes look-alike. For legal reasons, not
for
Rotten
legal
Tomatoes.
reasons, not Rotten Tomatoes.
It looks like Godzilla, but it's not Godzilla.
But it is not Godzilla. So
for legal reasons.
yeah, you can buy that at thenerdiespodcast.com. It just helps us support the show, keep the lights on. If that's not enough for you, you can become a Nerdiest Aftershow member on Spotify, and you can listen to our monthly Aftershow where we do the Nerdiest Movie Club. Now, if you are a Spotify member, please forgive us. We have not been keeping up to date with the after show, but it will return very soon. We promise. We're just trying to figure out what it looks like, and just honestly, just scheduling. It's a huge issue, but thank you so much for your patience and your patronage. You guys really help us just keep the show alive, and so we appreciate it very much. Now, I think we can get into some news because there's a good bit to talk about here. So
lead us through the news, sir.
Beep-a-beep-beep-beep-bop news. So,
what did I do last time?
I don't remember. It was something funny.
Hold on. let me find it because we have to be consistent.
I have to be consistent.
I know because I had like 3 people message me and be like, "That was really funny. Please keep doing that." And I was like, "Good.
Oh,
that means it had
interesting.
the intended effect."
We just apparently wasn't funny enough for us to remember.
Well, it was 2 weeks ago. I didn't put timestamps in. No.
What I will say while he's looking for our news intro, this week I lost my water bottle, and I lost it at work, and I knew it was at work. I just couldn't find it. And I went not even 24 hours without it before finding it, but I realized how emotionally attached I was to my water bottle because I was like genuinely kind of sad about losing it. And I was also kind of dehydrated, not even gonna lie. I was like genuinely like, oh my gosh, I've had this water bottle for like 3 years. This is the water bottle that I bought like when I came to college. It's like so beat up now, and it's like destroyed and has seen better days. But I feel like if no one else got me, my water bottle does. This is the Hydra Peak blue water bottle. It was designed in New York, apparently. This is the Hydra Peak 32-ounce wide mouth stainless steel bottle. Apparently I have a wide mouth. Who's to say? Now, this water bottle is not sponsored, but I am just trying to fill time so Nick can find his little intro thing. Aside from that, I'm emotionally attached to my water bottle. What else am I doing? I can't. Did you find it?
I found it.
Okay, good. I ran out of things to talk about. All right. I think it's time to transition into the news.
Wicka wicka wow. News time.
Booyah. All right. So, first point is the new Joker sequel. Fun fact, when the title of your movie is like really hard to read and understand, people don't call it that. So Joker 2,
Fleur de Libre,
Fleur de le bon baguette. It currently has a 35 on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's rough.
That is across critics and audiences. So, yeah, that's not good. And then director Todd Phillips gave a quote and said, "It's not really where this movie is headed for me," and said, "I feel like my time in the DC universe was these two films."
All right, buddy.
So essentially, he pulled a Gusteau, got criticized once, and died. So that's essentially what happened. And honestly, it's probably not that way. It's just kind of funny that, like, the second that his movie gets, like, bad reviews, he's like, yeah, I think I'm done.
He's like, all right, well,
I think
pack it up.
That's enough for me. I don't know. What do you think? Like, did we even need a sequel?
No. Because it's kind of like the first Joker movie. I've said my piece about it. Objectively, I think it's a great movie, but personally, I don't know if I'd watch it again. I think what's so interesting is what made Joker good was the fact that it was predicated as a standalone movie. It was not attached to a Batman. It wasn't attached to a larger cinematic universe. It just was its own thing. So then for your sequel to not only then make this movie no longer a standalone thing, you also have essentially changed genres entirely by making it a musical, which is not what people who like the first movie signed up for. Like, it'd be one thing if you went from like, oh, we're going from an action to a mystery thriller. Like, at least you're kind of in the same wheelhouse. But to go from action to musical is such a large genre jump.
Not
like,
even action, like thriller.
Exactly. So it's just such a weird pivot and then to be like, well, I don't understand why the movie's flopping. Well, because you left the target audience. And you were really banking on Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga carrying this movie, which I'm sure they did fine.
Right.
But I don't know. It just seems like a movie that didn't need a sequel to begin with. But then we got one because they were like, well, the first one was so radically successful. Because Hollywood's very bad about that. Of every time something succeeds, it becomes a sequel. So you're stuck in this like limbo of like, well, it can't do so well that it greenlights a sequel, but it needs to break even. But if it flops, then we stop doing original stuff and we just get remakes and
reboots and sequels.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
I almost said remasters, but that's video games.
Well, you can do remasters of films. It's just not really practical.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, man. It didn't need to exist, but it does, and here we are. So
it's the kind of thing where, like, I was reading like a Hollywood Reporter article about Todd Phillips saying that he was done, and he even said, he was like, you don't make a movie that grosses over $1 billion without a sequel talking.
Yes, you do.
And I was like, yeah, but you can.
You move on to the next project. You move on to the next $1 billion thing.
And it's the kind of thing where it's like, I understand if DC was like, well, we're making a sequel whether you're here or not. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, as the director, you could say, I'm good. And if they go on and ruin it, then at least your name is clear. Like, you know, you're not, it's like, well, yeah, it's not good because they switched directors. Or even like, hey, it was better because they switched directors.
Right.
And so, I don't know. Some of the reviews are kind of funny. I really like this one that says, Phillips never pays off the promise of an extravagant song and dance spectacle. It turns into a full-blown Batman musical. And so, I don't know. This one says is way too involved in staging magnificent-looking sequences to chase its ambitions. The movie never gets there, leaving you with stunning visuals and an exploration of psychosis as limp of one of Arthur's jokes. Which is, man, that's brutal. But also, like, where was there to take the story? Like, just leave it. I feel like they were going off so much, like, shock and intrigue factor that it just wasn't They didn't have anywhere to go.
But what's really funny is they pigeonholed themselves here because Joker's story continues as being the antagonist to Batman.
Right.
Like, that's where that story goes. But because of the Robert Pattinson Batman movie, they don't want to do another version of Batman.
Right.
But they don't want to tie this Joker to that Batman universe. So
see, that's why DC is like so hard to build a genuine fan base, because they're like, well, you either like this side or this side or this side or this side, and then they can't just put it all together because it's just not this. I don't know. They're so split up. I'm probably not gonna see it. I'll probably listen to the album just to see what I think, because I think Lady Gaga's a really good singer and a really good actress, and I think Joaquin Phoenix is really good. But like, if you don't give them good writing, then what are they supposed to do? They're essentially, an actor's job is to do what they're told, and so like, if they're not told the right thing, like, they could perform well and just have trash dialogue.
Right.
I don't know. Updates to follow on that. Everyone seems to be pretty disappointed, and I'm kind of like, well, what do you want from me? Moving on to some AI news, and everyone just probably collectively groaned. It was like, oh my gosh, AI. Yeah, you're right. And I'm going to get to that in a second. Apparently, James Cameron has joined the board of directors for Stability AI, saying that I was at the forefront of CGI over 3 decades ago, and I've stayed on the cutting edge since. Now, the intersection of generative AI and CGI image creation is the next wave. Thoughts?
Hold on. I'm writing down another news point, so you give your thoughts first.
All right, guys. So, James Cameron is our favorite director to hate because anytime he does anything, it is just, he's always giving like the worst take possible on any given situation, and it's so frustrating, and his movies aren't even really that good. So
no,
anyway, yeah, I've actually got a lot to say on just the forefront of AI in general, so I'm gonna toss it to you for a minute.
Okay.
And just kind of give your thoughts on James specifically before I go on my AI rant.
I just want to say, to everyone joining the James Cameron hate bandwagon, 1, you're late.
Here.
You're late. 2, get off the bandwagon. You don't get to come here just because your favorite guy says he likes AI. You can go pound sand and get out of here. I've been a hater since day one, okay? I'm an OG hater. Don't start appropriating my hating, okay? Just because AI is the new hip thing to hate, even though it's not really that bad if you use it properly, and I'm sure we'll get into that conversation again here in a minute, you don't get to hate, okay? I get it.
Yeah.
I feel so vindicated.
My hate culture.
I feel so vindicated as a James Cameron hater after this came out, because I'm like, oh, you understand now? You see what I'm saying? Are you not entertained? This is the man you've heralded as the next, like, leader of the film industry, and I'm over here telling you he's just as bad as everyone else. You're like, no, but he makes really good Avatar movies, and he made the Titanic, and his movies are like 3.5 hours long, and there's no need to trim them, but it's okay. Shut up! He's just as bad. And it shouldn't have taken you seeing him endorse AI to understand that.
So true.
Okay.
I love the please don't appropriate my hate culture. I've been here from the beginning. So this week, this is gonna get a little nerdy here so please bear with me.
Oh, we are the
I'm reading this
Nerdiest
book
podcast.
right now. This is a book called The Visual Display of Quantitative Information. Now, before you tune off and think I'm about to give you a lecture, don't worry, I am. So, this book by Edward Tufte, The Visual Display of Quantitative Information, is all about the science of data visualizations. And it's all about the history and the science of how to make good charts, how to show data, and it's very fascinating. And he says some stuff in this book that struck me so hard. And he talks about how essentially the computer program has ruined data visualization because it became too easy to make cluttered charts. And so back in the day, when they would draw charts by hand, they did this thing called ink maximalizing, where you only had a certain amount of ink for your chart because you couldn't afford more. And so you had to, every single drop of ink counted when you were drawing on this. But then computers came along and we decided that we could just put a ton of fancy graphics everywhere and it's going to be great. And he said in this book, he says, some people want credit for simply owning a new technology when they actually have nothing to contribute to art. And I'm just completely floored by this idea. The idea that he said some people want credit for simply owning a new technology when they have nothing to contribute to art. And this is what AI is doing right now. People like James Cameron, big companies that are like, we're doing AI enhanced this, and Apple being like, update your phone, we're doing this AI enhanced thing, this whole, and it's like, this is just a marketing buzzword. And, you know, you think you can throw a ton of computer graphics in a movie and think that you can call it a day. Like, you can't have credit simply for owning a new technology. And he said in this book, he said, all of these graphics evoke the response, isn't it remarkable that the computer can be programmed to draw like this? Instead of saying, my, what interesting data. So, translation. When we use AI and these new technologies in our movies and we lean on them as a crutch, we are saying, isn't it incredible that a computer can do this? Instead of saying, look at this incredible story. And there is such just an epidemic of like lack of good story right now. And that's why I loved The Wild Robot, is because it was both. It was an amazing animation style that was gorgeous, but it wasn't carried by that. It wasn't just, yeah, we have this new technology, we're going to show it off. And so, you know, by simply owning AI, by simply using AI and going through AI and this new, oh, we're going to use all this CGI imagery and we're going to do this, you don't get a pass by simply using that. That's not the point. If you don't at your core have good story, you're screwed. And that's kind of what the James Cameron movies feel like to me, is they're all about the spectacle. It's the Avatar, oh, isn't this amazing that we did motion capture for all this stuff? Look at this water and everything. Yes, that's amazing. That's a spectacle. That's gorgeous. But if you strip that away, what's there? Like, an okay story? Like, you know, that's kind of where I'm at with all this stuff. And like that, reading that, we had to read it for a class. And I was just like, this is phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think what's great is in the opposite direction. Nintendo made a comment about AI this week where they talked about how that's just something everyone wants to do, and they're going to move in the opposite direction. And
that's so good.
Shigeru Miyamoto, or maybe it was Shintaro Furukawa. Either way, it was either Miyamoto, who's like creator of Mario, Zelda, whatever,
the guy.
or Furukawa, who's the president and CEO of Nintendo right now, essentially said, we want to move in a different direction and we want to keep doing our own thing and being creative, and all these other companies are always chasing after the new hip thing, but we're just going to keep doing our own thing. But also in that, he said, oh, how did he word it? In that he said, he essentially was like, it's frustrating that AI keeps being heralded as this big evil thing when we've been using AI in development for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
And he even self-admitted, he was like, we use AI in Nintendo games, and we use it to help make NPC interaction better and run dialogue and have better, enemy combat AI and generating these random sandbox worlds. Like, AI has been in things for a while, but it's only now because of the bad rep and honestly, arguably questionable use of generative AI that now all AI things are getting lumped into it. And if you use Chat GPT to figure out what the weather is, oh, well, that's AI and that's evil and bad, when it's no different as pulling up the weather channel on your phone. Or searching through the YouTube algorithm. That's an AI that's serving you things you want to see. Scrolling through Facebook Marketplace. It's an AI looking at where you live and finding your likes, dislikes, and whatnot and serving you stuff. There's plenty of great, reasonable uses of AI without having to get into the generative stuff. And I think, honestly, I think generative AI to a certain extent is fine. Like, we use a lot of, like, the Bing image generator for our D&D campaign that I'm in, of like, oh, we're going to generate our characters and we're going to generate NPCs so we have something visual to look at because this is just for fun on the side. Like, but even then, like, I've gone and paid an actual artist to make an actual art, like, commission of my D&D character because I'm like, okay, we're getting deep in this campaign. Like, I want to have a solidified thing. But outside of that, the AI is fine because it gives us what we want. We're not trying to make money off of. We're not like trying to do anything. But then if you're
not claiming it as your own.
But then if you're a Disney that's like, oh, we're going to use AI to do the backgrounds for us. Like, okay, hold on.
It's like, okay, hold on.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Because there is a very fine line between using AI as a tool and then using it to replace other people, because AI absolutely can be used to make jobs easier, more efficient, get things done faster. There's definitely a way to do that, but you have to walk the line of like, are we using this efficiently and correctly, or are we just trying to cut costs and replace people because the AI is free or the premium AI costs significantly less than a consistent employee, you know what I mean? So it's like trying to find the balance there, and I don't like this shift in the Hollywood industry that has always been about art and like making these great cinematic films that you're then like hijacking with AI because it's the new thing. And it's the extreme end of capitalism that is too toxic. Because capitalism is great until you take it to the extent of like, okay, well, now we're using AI to replace people because we don't want to pay people. Like, okay, hold on. Profits aren't that important, okay? Like, we can lose a little bit to make sure that good old Timmy can feed his family this week. You know what I'm saying?
Well, my favorite thing I've seen recently is it said, I love that we accidentally proved the existence of the human soul with AI by showing us what art would look like without it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, yeah, here we are. And like you said, like, we've used like computer algorithms for years. Computer algorithms have been around since like the 70s. Like, an algorithm is not AI. And even if it is, like you said, like, you know, if you're playing Star Wars Battlefront offline doing a survival map, oh my gosh, I'm fighting AI stormtroopers, but AI is evil. No, just stop. This isn't worth it. And also, I'm curious to see what's after AI, because we're kind of talking about it like it's the end all be all. And it's like, yeah, AI is the future. Like, we will not have another thing after AI. And I'm like, yeah, that's what they said about the internet. And it like became a thing and we use it all the time, but we evolved past that. And so it's kind of like, what's the next thing and how long will it be AI? So I don't know. I'm just kind of sick of the buzzword. I'm really
too.
sick of being like, taking a stance on AI, and it's like no one gives a crap anymore. AI sucks. I'm gonna be so honest. Like, I use it for like help on projects to be like, hey, can you summarize this for me, or can you generate these like 10 prompts for me to answer so that I can know this deeper, and all this stuff. But to say that it's going to replace someone's job, it's not that advanced, at least yet. And also, fun fact, if you hire an AI, you have to hire someone to manage the AI.
Yep.
And install, and so it's like,
So it's
okay,
still making a
so
job
you're still
somewhere down the
so
line.
like, yeah, it's just not worth it. It's stupid.
Okay.
So.
There's only one specific, very specific instance where I feel like AI could and probably should replace someone's job. And when I say it's such, and I'm about to talk about this in a video, on how the West is ruining anime. And one of the ways they're doing that is through localization. Because obviously there's a big language barrier between anime made in Japan and English-speaking countries out here like America. And there are multiple documented cases where localizers are actively changing the story because they don't like it. So they're changing it and putting their own ideologies and their own political beliefs into it. And it's all one side, by the way. So that is the only case where I've seen people be like, maybe we should fire those localizers and get AI to do the translations, because at least the AI is unbiased and will translate accurately. Now,
right.
There is a little nuance to that where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about like replacing a job, but I could see you using AI to essentially transcribe an episode faster, and then you go in and make tweaks to it. Like, that's what I do when I edit YouTube shorts. It's the Premiere AI scanning through my audio log, generating a transcript, and then I go in and I'm like, okay, that word's slightly off, you misheard this, like, I'm gonna correct it as we go. But it makes the process a whole lot faster than if I go in there and I'm trying to type in word for word what I said. So I think that's where AI could come in handy with localization and also getting more accurate things.
Yeah.
I just think localizers need to be put in check, but that's a completely different
completely
different thing.
But also, if you think about, like, does AI have a bias? Because the thing is, an AI will spit out whatever you feed it. So
that is also
if
true.
you feed it the wrong thing, it definitely will be biased.
That's why I'm also very careful about what I put in, because I do a lot of creative writing on the side.
Right.
So if I'm asking a question about like a creative project, instead of saying generate me this, I'll say generate me facts about this time period that I should know.
Right.
So then I can say, okay, well, it's compiling this information for me. Now I can move this over here to my thing that's got all the names I came up with and like all of the stuff. So you do have to be careful with what you put in there, because at least the way I'm familiar with how ChatGPT works is it's gathering, like if I put something in and you ask that same question later down the line, it'll then feed you what I put in. So it's like collecting from everyone who inputs to it. Yeah. So if you input stuff in there, obviously it'll...
I mean, well, and people freak out about that, but that's just how cookies work. Like when you accept cookies on a website, it's gathering your data to make for a better user experience. That is absolutely what anything that you put into ChatGPT, you are essentially surrendering to it. And it is gathering that information not to sell, because honestly, AI isn't profitable and OpenAI is bleeding money right now. They just paid off like a $4 billion acquisition thing. Is wild. So anything that you're pouring in, it's using to make a better user experience, which isn't like, I'm personally not worried about like, oh, I pasted the script into ChatGPT and then I saw it on Netflix like a month later. Like, that's not what's going to happen.
Right.
It's just kind of like, generally be careful about your digital footprint.
Something that does frustrate me, and this is the last thing I'll say, and we can move on to the next thing because I know we have a couple more to go through. What does frustrate me is this incessant push for AI to come into the YouTube space. That's where I've seen it a lot. Of like, let AI generate your title, your thumbnail, your tags, your description. And it's like, if I see there was one YouTube channel I followed, I think it was like vidIQ or something. I still use their plugin because the plugin's very helpful. But the channel themselves was putting in a lot of great like YouTube tips. Here's how to game the algorithm, and like, here's what you should need to know, best posting times, da-da-da-da-da. But then they hit a certain point either early this year or last year where they really started pushing AI in terms of like, don't make a thumbnail yourself, go on our AI thumbnail generator and just type in what words you want and you can get a very specific thumbnail. And as someone who takes a lot of pride and joy in my own thumbnails, and I think they're really good, that doesn't mean they are, it just means I enjoy it. And I enjoy the process. Like, some nights, part of my relaxing is just turning on a podcast or some music, and I'm just going to work on a handful of thumbnails that I have because I think it's fun. It's a very creative process. So to see AI try to invade this space and be like, hey, I want to replace what you do there. And I think everyone who's afraid of that, don't be, because like me, if I see AI in a video thumbnail, I'm going to steer away from it.
Right.
Because that tells me you cut corners on your thumbnail and could imply that you also cut corners in your content. And that's not what I'm here for. My time is too valuable to watch someone who cuts corners on that kind of stuff. So
true.
We could do a whole episode on AI, honestly.
I could go off. But moving on. The Fortnite Crocs.
Let's go.
The Fortnite Crocs.
I would buy them day one
October
if Crocs weren't
29th.
so expensive.
Dude, aren't they like $70?
I don't know. Let me find it.
I own one pair of Crocs, and to be fair, I'm on year 3 of these Crocs, and they're still in perfect condition.
The price is set at $70.
Okay. To be fair, I've had the same pair of Crocs for 3 years, and they're still in perfect condition. So, like, you're getting what you're paying for. And if you look at the prices of shoes, sure, like, you know, generally speaking, like, shoes are more than that now. But man, the Fortnite Crocs, they're kind of dope.
See, they're kind of dope, but I'm looking at pictures and like, they're kind of just purple Crocs.
Right.
With gibbets on them.
Which I don't even like gibbets.
I like gibbets. I don't like that there's 2 square ones on here that are massive. And just take up like so much vertical space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I have the Buzz Lightyear Crocs, and I think those are cool because they really went all in with the theming, and it's not just color with this. And I'm like, dude, I don't know,
like the Lightning McQueen Crocs, were like very clearly. But this is very. Is it supposed to be the Battle Bus? I don't know. They're kind of cool. Not the Crocs that I would spend $70 on though. Like, everyone look up a picture and let us know your thoughts. Another thing that happened this week was Minecraft Live, and they said some interesting stuff. They announced a new biome called the Pale Garden with a mob called the Creaking, I believe. Kind of spooky, good like spooky season vibe. So I'm not mad. I think that looks cool. I think Minecraft is in a weird spot where they are just kind of like, well, now what? And so they're just kind of keep adding random stuff, but this is actually kind of cool. And then they showed a new clip from the Minecraft movie that looks fine. We saw like a behind the scene picture of Jack Black as like young Steve. And I'm just like, all right, are we actually going to do the Jumanji, like, been trapped in the game forever kind of thing, because like I don't think we really want that. So I don't know. I still have hope. I'm gonna go see it opening night probably. But yeah, nothing really insane to say.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
just,
know, man.
Minecraft is Minecraft, you know.
Minecraft be Minecraft.
All right, hit me with that last point.
Okay, hold on. I'm finishing a tweet.
You're finishing a tweet mid podcast.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it after. Because I don't want to talk about it.
He said, I don't
want to talk about it on air because it's unrelated. Anyway.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, so this came out this week, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, okay?
Okay, let me hear.
Studios are assembling super fan focus groups to assess various materials for a franchise project to avoid social media backlash. And then there's a quote from, I guess, some other person or entity or representative, and it's, they will just tell us, if you do that, fans are going to retaliate. If it's early enough and the movie isn't finished yet, we can make those kind of changes. So before I give my thoughts, because I have plenty, do share. How do you feel about that?
So essentially, studios are doing focus groups of super fans in hope to change the movie before it goes out if they don't like something.
Yes.
So is this like an Ugly Sonic kind of thing?
I guess so.
I mean, honestly, depending on how the groups are set up, not a bad idea, because it's kind of like, okay, sure, like these, like, because if you put the Sonic focus group up and the focus group is like a random 45-year-old man and a kid and then like a lady, it's like, yeah, and then the guy's like, yeah, I like Sonic, I guess. It's fine. Versus like, oh, I love Sonic. It's my favorite game, and this is the ugliest movie I'd ever seen. It's like, yeah, that's probably the opinion you want, is the Sonic superfan. Or if you think about like the Minecraft movie, the problem is though, unlike the Minecraft movie, if you get all the super fans in there and they're like, yeah, scrap it. This is not it. Like then what? Then what?
Then what?
And then like those focus group people are going to start coming out and being like, hey guys, this sucks. And so it's kind of like a double or nothing at that point.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see how this goes, because let's take like, it solely depends on how they set up the groups.
Yeah.
Because to Hollywood, the definition of a superfan is different than our definition of a superfan. Because in the minds of like Disney, apparently, the rabid, more liberal side of the Star Wars fan base is probably who they would have pulled and focus grouped for something like The Acolyte, as opposed to someone who's been like a lifelong Star Wars fan since day one. They're going to pull from over here. So I think it depends on how the groups are set up. You kind of need a little bit of both. But I don't know. There's also a part of me that's like, maybe don't, like, on paper, yes, this is a great idea. But at a certain extent, you kind of have to respect the creative decision of what happened. Like, I'm going to bring up The Acolyte again. Even though it's not a movie, it's just the thing I can think of the most in recent memory. Like, you could bring in a Star Wars fan and do a focus group and be like, hey, here are some aspects of where the lore kind of got broken, and like, I don't think that's going to go over very well with the general fan base. So maybe like you should go back in and tweak that. And I think that would have been something very constructive, especially in helping that show, because a lot of like, hey guys, there's fire in space, like that, the Star Wars fans aren't gonna like that one. Like, we kind of like, you need a medium between the studio and the general audience of like, hey, we understand that like you're trying to bring this new creative vision, but at the same time, like,
this isn't what we want.
Fire in space, man. People aren't gonna like that.
That doesn't make sense.
You gotta change that. So,
and well, there's something to say for like, yes, the audience should have an input, but I'm also like, as a creative, like maybe the movie isn't for you.
Like, I hate that phrase.
I
understand it's true, but I hate that phrase.
Right.
I know the context you're using it in.
Right. Because there is a bad context to that phrase saying like, oh, the Minecraft movie's for kids. Maybe it's not for you. It's like, okay, maybe you shouldn't like narrow your audience like that. What I'm saying is like, if I'm making my dream movie and these are my decisions, and then some super fan comes in and says, no, this is all wrong, who are they to know better? And we're in a weird point because apparently studios are less picky on who they let direct things now, especially like Star Wars. So like 10 years ago, this would have been a terrible idea because we could just be like, yeah, we just need to trust the creative vision of our directors. I think instead of superfan groups telling directors what to do, we just need to hire good directors and not have to do this in the first place.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Based? I don't know.
That sounds like a great idea.
Maybe if we treated the audience like they had at least 5 brain cells, we wouldn't have to ask their opinion.
It's the problem. I wonder if this kind of stuff is going to curb the more progressive ideas in movies. That's another aspect of like, it depends on the focus group. Because if you put me in there and it's like, hey, we're going to show you this new Pixar movie and it's got a gay character in it, I would be like, hey, listen, obviously there's my own personal beliefs, but I don't think the general family audience is going to appreciate that. So maybe you want to tone that back. So I wonder if that's going to curb any of it, or if they're essentially going to put together these super fan groups. Because here's the really diabolical thing they could do. Just go with me here. You put together this super fan group.
Yeah.
And you just bring in all of the same people, but you label them as a super fan group. And then you continue to make all of the same things that you would have done anyway. But now you're running it through this super fan group. Note, for those who are listening to the audio, because not everyone can see,
air quotes.
Lots of air quotes around super fan.
Air quote super fan.
So then when your movie comes out, you can then blame shift and say, well, the super fan said it would be okay. Our super fan test group said it would be okay. So why don't you guys like it? Now, I don't think that would work in the long run because you can only blame shift like that so many times before people catch on.
Right.
But
I'm not saying it's out of the question.
I wouldn't put it past someone like Disney who's really sick and tired of getting their everything boycotted. And they're like, you know what? We're going to blame shift. We're going to put this on someone else. It's not on us anymore.
Well, you guys we asked the super fans and they said it was fine. So if you don't like this, you just must not be a real fan.
They did a lot of that with the Acolyte.
Actually.
They're like, if you actually don't like lore-breaking events that completely ruin the canon of the current movies, you're just a fake fan. And it's like, no, it's because I value those things that I am a fan. Quit trying to gatekeep me from my own series.
Lord.
Every day, I believe that George Lucas hates that he sold the rights to Disney. Just a little bit more.
You think he just stares at the ceiling at night and is just like, man, what did I do?
Yeah.
And then he kisses his $1 billion check goodnight and then like just goes to sleep.
Dude, if I were him, I'd be like, we're net negative now with Star Wars.
I'd be like, my bad, Chief.
Like, the Acolyte put us at net negative. We were kind of like breaking even.
Yeah.
But now it's net negative.
Bad.
And
we
like,
are
dude,
actively bad.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. So, hey, thank you for making it this far in the episode. And I think we're ready to move on to what we're going to talk about. This is the movies we delete forever draft. Now, if you don't know how a draft works, we both have chosen movies that we would like to delete forever, which I think is an interesting conversation because a movie you would like to delete is not just a movie you dislike. A movie you'd like to delete is, I don't like the cultural impact that this movie had, and I'd like to erase that, which is way different than, I don't know, I didn't like it. So, we have both chosen movies that we think should be deleted forever. But, since it's a draft, we will both be building a team of 5 movies, and we cannot use the same movies. So, if one of us takes a movie, that movie is out of the game, and then we will build our teams, and maybe we'll let you guys vote on who has the best team. Who's to say? We didn't discuss that. But, Nick, I'm going to flip a coin.
No. I've done this system that is about as secure as a United States presidential election. So
All right.
You can trust me.
Clear as mud.
I have a red and blue Expo marker cap in my hands here. I shuffle
Matrix
them
style.
up here. I'll shuffle them up some more behind my chair just to like give you a little bit more confidence since I can't make you use an ID to vote this time.
Right.
So, here's what I'm going to do. You can pick either red or blue and then pick a side.
Okay.
And then I'll let you go first. And whichever color, so like if you pick blue and it's red, then I go first.
All right.
So you
I
see
got
what I'm
you.
saying?
I got you.
All right. So you pick a color.
This is Matrix style. All right.
Which pill do you want? Red pill or blue pill? I actually don't know if that's right. I don't know.
I'm going to go with the classic right hand red.
Right hand red. Right hand blue.
No!
L take. I got red, which means I get to go first.
All right.
Okay.
What's your first? So your number one.
Let me
Number
pull
one
up
movie.
my list. Yeah. So what's interesting doing this draft style instead of normal like top 5 is because we can't duplicate. I have to actually think about the order in which I choose these things.
Right. The order of which you care.
So I'm gonna start strong.
Okay.
And take one that you might have also had on your list.
I'm sure.
And it's going to be Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
I knew it.
I have to take it.
That was the first movie I had.
I'm known for hating this movie, dude. You know
Yeah,
how
you're
much of
right.
Star Wars we could save? We could put ourselves back in the net positive
So
if
true.
we got rid of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
So run the scenario.
So run the scenario.
Rise of Skywalker is gone.
The Rise of Skywalker is gone, and it just ends at The Last Jedi. There is no ninth movie.
You don't even want another one.
No.
Like,
No.
okay, interesting.
Because at least with The Last Jedi, you could say that, yes, it never got concluded, but it wasn't a good or bad conclusion, so it's kind of net neutral on concluding that story specifically.
Okay.
You can
Interesting.
headcanon and theorize all you want on how it ends. It's kind of like Inception. You leave it with an open end.
And you're like,
And
you figure it out.
call it a day.
Interesting.
So that's now. How would I do it? I don't know. Would I go back in time and
I
just
would go back in time.
burn the script and be a living nightmare of this production and eventually get it canceled? Or would I just steal the hard drive that it's on and wipe it from existence? I don't know. That's up for
Personally,
interpretation. Personally, I like the third. I like the first one.
You should visit Colin Trevorrow in a dream and tell him not to do it.
Don't do Jurassic World.
Don't do it.
Don't drop out on Star Wars. We need your vision here.
We need your vision, brother. All right. So Rise of Skywalker's off the table. I gotta since it's a draft. I'm also gotta start strong. All right. My number one movie that I would like to erase from existence is the 2019 Lion King.
Oh, good. I didn't put that on mine because I knew you were going to take it.
Yep. So this is the air quote live action Lion King, the
Second
Jon Favreau.
highest
Now,
grossing animated movie of all time now. Thank you very
praise
much.
God. So listen, Oh my gosh. Sorry. There was an ad on this letterbox for Weird Al tickets and I was like, yo, holy crap, Weird Al. Anyway, I'm sorry. So Jon Favreau is one of my favorite directors. Genuinely is. I love The Mandalorian. I love Elf. I love Iron Man. Like, great stuff. But this was such a bad idea. And I hate what this movie did to Disney and to the movie industry, because it was, until Inside Out 2 was the highest grossing animated movie of all time and held that record for years. And I hate that because this movie genuinely has nothing creative to add. It is the quintessential representation of wanting credit for simply owning a new technology. It is, we're doing the exact same thing, but making it fancier. Boom. Couple $1 billion. No, you don't deserve that, especially when there's so many amazing animated movies out there that are just so much more creative and gorgeous than that. No, my friend. The fact that we call this the live-action Lion King and then say it's the highest-grossing animated movie grinds my gears, man. I can't do this anymore.
Oh, man.
So there you go. There we go. That's how would I do it? Personally, I would have a real lion come in and eat the script.
Oh, okay.
I'd call the MGM lion out of retirement so that
might be animal abuse.
No.
Don't put the lion through eating that. Gotta feed him good quality
it's just the Lion King. I mean, what do you?
True.
I would have him eat
cannibalism.
I would have him eat the computer that they made this CG on.
I don't think that's good either.
I mean, what do you want from me? It's a scenario where I'm calling a lion out of retirement to end a movie. I don't think that's where we're getting caught up. I would do it Zoolander style, where he's like, "Oh, I thought the files were in the computer."
All
right.
I feel like this has to be an incredibly solid 5.
Yeah.
What was
scared.
the verdict on Spawn killing movies? Like taking ones that aren't out yet.
Personally, I think it's funny.
Okay. I'm not going to take one now. I'm just
asking for
future
later.
reference. It's like in my backups. I'm going to do another movie that is the bane of my existence that should not exist.
I'm so scared because there's a movie that I want that I think you're also going to have.
I don't know. We'll see. I might get really petty towards the end. My last one might be a petty pick. We'll see. It's a movie I don't think you've seen.
Okay.
And I may subject you to it in the after show one day.
Okay.
But that just depends on if I want to subject myself to it. And it's going to be The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea. This movie, genuinely one of the worst movies ever made. It's not a good movie because it's The Little Mermaid in reverse. Instead of it's like a mirror map on Mario Kart. Instead of turning right, you turn left. It's the same track. You're just doing it in the opposite way. So instead of her kid being a mermaid who can't go to the surface, she's a surface human who can't go to the ocean. And then there's still an evil octopus who wants to get the trident and from King Triton. And there's no communication. How would I do it? Well, it would require a large grandstanding of arson at the Disney Studios.
A large grandstanding of arson.
Yeah, and I
That's
would
crazy.
like it kind of like in that episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine where they caught the arsonist who was spelling things out. I would have spelled things out from the air and been like, "I'm from the future. Don't make this movie."
Don't make this movie.
And then just leave it at the end, and they'd be
Real.
like, "Wow, even God's telling us not to
Wow.
make this movie." And I'd be like, "Oh, that wasn't God. That was me,
That was me, fool.
not me. God's got better things to
right.
do than tell you to not make that movie."
Okay. How do I want to play this?
Be wise,
got,
because
like-
if you steal one of mine and be petty, I will absolutely swing back and hit you.
That's the thing. I have one that I'm...
Put Sword Art Online on there, you
Hmm.
coward. You won't. I know it's on.
No, that's not even it. That's not even what I'm thinking. Okay. I would like my number 2 pick to be Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. How would I do
agree.
it? Here's the thing. Dial of Destiny, everyone, you know it's a feat when you release a movie that it makes people say, I mean, Crystal Skull wasn't that bad. Like, it was fine. Dial of Destiny is genuinely one of the most depressing movies I've ever seen because I got up to pee, not because I had to pee, but because I was bored. And I
You gotta
was
keep yourself
like,
awake.
I'm trying to stay awake. Gotta get the blood flowing. So it's just kind of like, what if we took your favorite character, right, and made him depressed? And what if we took away the girl that we spent like 4 movies trying to get him to marry, right? And you know how it like ends really well and how like they're married? Scrap that. Throw that crap out of here. Make him super depressed, really sad, and then throw, you know, how do we make this better? How about a British person? How about we make a British woman in this movie? Somehow they thought that that was the solution to a good movie. All right. So Dial of Destiny, man. I saw it in theaters. I saw my math professor in the lobby after, and he was like, yo, how was it? And I was like, it's pretty good. And then the next time I saw him, he was like, you lied to me. That movie sucked. I was like, I wasn't trying to spoil it. So how would I do it? I would take the dial, go back in time, and I would bail Shia LaBeouf out of prison so that he could be the next Indiana Jones. That is what I would. That's my solution.
Good move.
Is we clean up Shia LaBeouf, help him find Jesus, and then make another Indiana Jones movie with him like they clearly intended.
Just expedite
Thank you
that
for coming to my
process a
TED
little
Talk.
bit, because I think that's where he's at now.
Is
He
it?
said to speed it up a little bit. I think so.
Yeah. Are you thinking of Russell Brand?
No. No. I'm thinking of Shia
don't
LaBeouf.
know.
Let me Google it.
No, you do your next one, and I'm gonna Google this real quick.
Okay, you Google that. Is Shia LaBeouf a Christian? I think he is, but I also don't know if that was specifically for one role.
Buff, Christian.
Okay, my next pick.
I think he's Catholic.
Oh man,
So
so close yet so far.
Yeah, I think he's Catholic.
It's okay. I know Catholics. So I can say that.
Close enough.
Okay. Well, I can't pick Dial of Destiny, which means I'm gonna have to dip into one of my backups. I can't do live action Lion King. That was in my backups. Let's get a spawn kill in here.
I love this.
We're about halfway through. We need to get a spawn kill in here. I'm gonna say this might be controversial.
Oh gosh.
But-
Okay.
I wouldn't put it past this company. Wait, no, wrong company. I still wouldn't put it past them. You know, there's a movie that came out recently that still needs a sequel. And that sequel is currently in production hell. We don't know where it's at.
Oh.
So what I'm thinking here is instead of like just indefinitely delaying it, we just cancel it and leave it as an open end. And much like The Last Jedi, and as I said before, Inception, just leave it open-ended, because Inception was really successful at being a confusing movie that no one really understands, and it has an open end and so
there you go.
That's why I'm saying, for tax purposes, we need to delete Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Wow.
Because
holy cow.
Hear me out. Self-admitted by the people who like this movie. Why is someone from work calling me? That's going to go to voicemail. Because I'm not at work anymore. So, here's the thing. I completely lost my train of thought.
Self-admittedly by the people that like this movie.
Oh, thank you. Self-admittedly by the people that like this movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the greatest animated movie of the decade, which means that Beyond the Spider-Verse can never exceed that. It can never be better than Across the Spider-Verse.
So funny.
Why even bother making a sequel? If we're not going to top the first one, let's just not make another one.
That's so funny.
So that's my next pick, is Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse.
That is such an
for tax
interesting
purposes.
take.
How would I do it? I would pay Phil Lord and Chris Miller more money than they're getting paid to do that, to just delete it.
Wow.
Actually, no.
Pull a Warner Brothers.
No. Let me rephrase that. I would pay them more than they're getting paid to make it, to give me all of the files. So essentially, I would buy it, and then I would just hold on to it forever.
And then you would watch it and be like, yeah, it's bad. Don't watch it.
And then I would take it to my grave with me. But that would actually be a fake disc, not the real one. The real one is hidden somewhere. And if you want to find it, you have to dig up my grave, find the USB stick that is hidden somewhere in my body, that then gets plugged into a computer. And you might be thinking, what's on the USB stick? Is it a map? Is it coordinates? Yes. But the coordinates are a bunch of file folders that are stacked inside of each other. But they're out of order. So you have to put the coordinates in order. And when you put them in order and you punch in all of those coordinates, it's just going to send you to youtube.com and you're going to get rickrolled. Because the location will be non-existent, because I will have thrown it into a volcano.
Wow.
And that's how I would do it.
That was beautiful. That was a beautiful. I didn't like the part where you said there was a USB stick hidden in your body. I got some pretty questionable imagery in my brain when you said that.
That's on you.
But
I don't know, man. But brother, ew, get that ache off me.
Ew. So okay. Interesting choice.
Then it's like multiple felonies if they want to do it too. Like, you can't just go up grave robbing. That's not allowed.
Right. That's not allowed. I mean, depends. Anyway, okay. I didn't expect that choice. I think that's super interesting. Okay. Number 3. What am I looking at here? I'm so torn. I've got 2 movies that I'm considering.
Well, good.
And
You've
one
got
of them
3
I'm not
slots left.
One for this slot. One of them I'm not super sure about. Okay. So okay, ready? My number 3 slot. I would like to do. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say that. My number 3 slot, I would like to do Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, hear me out. Spider-Man No Way Home is not a bad movie, but it was a bad conclusion to the Tom Holland Spider-Man universe. And it really was kind of the tip of the iceberg for the multiverse. and it's just not the move. All right, we had so much. See, Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies are so popular and have huge potential, but then we didn't get a really great conclusion on him because we were so busy focused on Tobey and Andrew, who already got their conclusions. Why did we need them? I'm not mad that they were there. I just feel like this movie started the bad part of the multiverse, where we decided if we just throw some old actor in there, it's fine. We'll be fine. So, how would I do it? Hear me out. I would go to the temple that Doctor Strange trained at. Okay? I would go there and stay there for a few years, and I would learn the ways of Doctor Strange. And I would learn all of that and become a master. And what I would do is I would learn this, use my little fingers, and open a portal into the writer's room of this movie. And I would walk in, and they're like, yo, should we put Tobey and Andrew in here? And I would say, no, I'm from the future. You're gonna ruin this movie. And then I would go back into my little thing. I would also use my fingers, and I would open up a little portal, but just to Shake Shack so that I could have some Shake Shack. That's not related to the story. I just really like Shake Shack. So I'd go get some Shake Shack, and then I would come home and see that No Way Home has been deleted, and it's a different movie now. And it is a better movie, and it's a better conclusion to Tom Holland. Thank you. So and then I eat my Shake Shack and watch that movie.
You were the original superfan focus group, is what you're saying.
Yes.
You kicked off the trend. Like, it was this positive
I was
change
the original. I was the
original
one. Yeah. And honestly, like, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, it probably needs a third movie, like, to conclude. You know, he deserves a conclusion.
Yeah.
But the one that he got was not really great. It was a very much just like, yeah, we're going to throw Tobey and Andrew in here because, you know, we know fans will freak out, and we're going to genuinely edit a pause for applause. It's just not.
I don't know who thought that was a good idea, because, like, bro,
watching that movie back is awkward.
Yeah.
It's awkward.
Like, bro, brother,
They planned this whole movie around the theater experience, and so now that the theater experience is done, we're all kind of coming to terms with it not being a great movie. So,
speaking of not great movies,
hit me.
I only got 2 spots left, and I got a lot of movies here.
Yeah, same.
So I gotta get real.
I think I've got an odd pick and a solid pick.
I've got a pick I don't think you expected, and then the last one is just going to make you mad, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Because it's for no other reason than my own personal bias. But speaking of bad movies that I think should not exist,
okay,
I'm going to go with a movie that I don't think you've seen.
Okay.
And honestly, actually, no, I don't need to delete this one. I'm changing my answer because people already act like it doesn't exist anyway.
Okay, cool.
So changing my pick, we're going to reroute a little bit. We're going to get another Spawn kill in here. And I'm going to go with the live-action Snow White.
Oh.
Because it doesn't need to happen. And
okay.
And Disney PR needs to get a wrangle on Rachel Zegler before she bankrupts this entire movie. Because every time she says something, they lose like $100,000 off of their box office every time she says something about this movie. And I'm like, guys, you got to rein her in, or your net. This is going to be the first movie to make $0. Okay.
Yeah, she just keeps talking about how terrible the movie is.
She's like, yeah, the first one was so bad and original and evil that we're remaking it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
your target audience for remakes is the people who enjoyed the original. So maybe your cast talking about how much they hate the original is not the best move.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, just saying.
Statistically
just a thought.
hypothetically, for the sake of an argument, let's say.
So yeah, I would delete that.
Yeah.
How would I do it? Well, I already tried. Because way back when, I don't know if anybody knows this, there was a set fire in the soundstage that burned the cottage that they were filming into the ground and delayed production. Apparently, that wasn't enough. So maybe I need to go back and set a couple more fires. Like,
that's crazy.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Or
That's
I
crazy.
could pull like a Beyond the Spider-Verse type thing and let them finish the movie and then just steal the hard drive this time.
Just
I
take
spent
it,
all my
you
money
know?
on Beyond the Spider-Verse. I need to recoup some of that. So I'm just going to steal it and upload like one frame every month until I die.
Yeah.
And then Disney can write it off as a tax expense and they get their money. And I get the fun of just dropping one frame of this like 2-hour movie for the rest of my life.
Oh. I'm in. I like this plan. Do you know those Twitter account? There's a really good Twitter account that's like daily SpongeBob frame, and it's just one frame of the SpongeBob movie every day, and it's so funny. All right. I like that. While you were talking, you made me realize a movie, and I was for a minute I thought it was the movie you were talking about, but this is a movie that I've seen, so it must be different. And I don't know if it's on your list because I didn't think of it until now, but I will. My number 4 spot will be, consequently, Toy Story 4. Now,
Good choice.
Toy Story 4 is the most useless movie on the planet. Toy Story 3 was this grand emotional ending, and it was beautiful, and it was perfect. It was exactly what we wanted. And then they said, what if, and hear me out, we kept going. And I'm struggling to not make my number 5 spot Toy Story 5 because it looks like they've retconned the fourth one. It looks like they've retconned the fourth one entirely because they're back with Andy and they're doing, and I'm just like, okay, unless we're doing like a weird time jump thing, like that's so lazy. Like just don't even bother. Like it's not worth it. Now, I will say Toy Story 4 is like a gorgeous movie. Like, there is some high-quality animation on this junk. But it's just a tired story. Like, no one asked for it. It's just like, I feel like most people don't even acknowledge that this movie exists. It's just kind of like, yeah, you know, the Toy Story trilogy? And then, like, Toy Story 4 genuinely just feels like a spinoff or like a short. Like, it's just not, it's not in the canon. So yeah, that's my pick. How would I do it? I would use my Doctor Strange skills that I learned from deleting my last movie, and I would go to Scott Lang, and I would have him teach me how to shrink. And then I would shrink down and paint myself green, right? And I would turn into one of the army men from Toy Story. And I would take my role as the army man to go to the studio, and I would go to the producer and I would say, hey, it's me from the movie. And he would flip out and he'd be like, oh my gosh, you're not real, you're animated. And I'd say, hey, if you release Toy Story 4, you will be opening a portal to another dimension where all of the toys will be real and they're going to come over and take over the world. And he's going to freak out, and he's going to delete the movie, and then he's going to take the fall. And then I'm not associated at all. And he's just going to be like, oh my gosh, you're right. And he's going to do command delete on toystory4.mp4. And then I just grow big and get a taco. And then Toy Story 4 is no more.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, because that's almost what happened in Toy Story 2.
Mm-hmm. So true. So true.
It's like we've come full circle.
We've come full circle. Toy Story narrative, you know. All right.
Last pick.
You have 1 slot left. We haven't really stepped on each other's toes a whole lot. But we'll see. We'll see.
I'm going to go with, you're not going to like this one.
Hit me. Oh, gosh. Hit me.
It's personal bias.
Oh, gosh.
A movie I don't like.
Oh, I'm so scared. I think I know what this is.
Do you want to take a guess?
Is it La La Land?
It is La La Land.
Ah!
I'm deleting La La Land.
That's a terrible
out
decision.
of existence.
That is a terrible
Gone.
decision.
Why? Why? Because if I delete it, then we don't have to have this whole discourse about whether or not it has a good ending or not. And then it's gone.
It does.
No.
But it
no,
does.
no,
It
no,
subverts
no,
the
no, no, no,
conventions
no,
of
no,
the
no,
genre.
No. No. It's
Please,
gone.
no.
How do I do it?
No, gosh.
Well, I'm thinking I cause a massive wreck on the Los Angeles freeway.
It was so simple. It was so simple.
And I wait until the director of that movie is on the freeway, and I cause a massive wreck. He's not involved. Nobody dies. It's just like I dropped like 30 cars on the interstate, and it's just a mess.
Oh my
So then he's stuck in traffic, coming up with this idea of, oh, yeah, another day of sun. I can do this. Yeah. And then as he's doing that, I plant an IED under his car. But it doesn't go off yet. And I walk up to him and I say, hey, Mr.
Chazelle? Mr. Damien Chazelle?
Mr. Damien Chazelle. Listen, I got an IED under your car. And if you don't give me a copy of La La Land, I'm gonna set it off. And it can either happen on this interstate, it can happen at the studio, or it can happen at your home. It's your choice. We got a couple options here.
Oh my god.
Call the police if you want. I'll just disappear.
This is foul.
Because I'm from the future. So you give me a
And I
copy of
can
that
do
movie,
that.
you delete it, and you pretend like this never happened, and you move on and make a different movie.
Oh my gosh.
Okay? This movie was going to be a commercial flop anyway. Everyone hated it. It was terrible. Didn't win any Oscars. Hollywood hated it. Okay? And then I would add this to my collection of movies that I have that no one else does, so that I can remember that they exist, and then gaslight people into thinking that they exist when they really don't. Do you know how well I could control the lost media YouTube sphere if I had a bunch of movies that didn't exist and just talked about them like lost media?
Mm-hmm. That would be such a good idea. I think you should do that.
I'm just saying.
Man, that's brutal.
100% fueled by my own bias, but you know.
All right.
Got to get it in there
take.
for comedy.
All right. So, my last pick of the day is one that might ruffle some feathers. But, I'm so back and forth. I have two.
Well, you only get one.
I only get one. I just got to decide, like, they're completely opposite. Like, which direction should I go? All right. Ready? I would like to delete the Zack Snyder Justice League movie from existence.
Thank you. It was in my backup.
Now, good. So, here's the thing. The Joss Whedon Justice League, bad. Very bad movie. Honestly, if I could just do like a double kill, that would be ideal. So the problem with this movie is we have this. It started this trend of like justice for the director's creative vision thing where, like, as an audience, we feel the need to defend every single director's decision, even if it's, like, genuinely a terrible one. We're just, like, feel the need that their creative vision is not being honored. Now, that is fair. That's true. We just talked about the focus groups, about how, you know, there is a point where you have to just suck it up and say, hey, maybe this isn't working. Like this, you know, good directors are the ones that take good creative input and good ideas from other people. Now, the Zack Snyder Justice League movie is so incredibly pretentious, and the only people that actually genuinely like it are people that are only like it because it feels like a justice for Zack Snyder thing. As a story and as a movie, it is not good. It was marketed entirely as Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it was released so that when HBO Max like came out for the first time, it had a title to bring people in to subscribe. That was the entire purpose of this movie. There was no actual thought about creative rights in this process. And I've seen the Zack Snyder Justice League. It is over 3 hours long. It's in 5:4 aspect ratio because it can. The acting is still not great. It is dark as heck. You can't see a single thing going on. It's so long. And it's the kind of movie where Zack Snyder knew that he would not get a chance like this again. And so he crammed every single idea he could into it. And so DC fans are like, oh my gosh, it's 3 hours. I love 3 hours. It's Zack Snyder. Hooray. And then it was like, maybe your story would be better if you only kept the good ideas instead of thought dumping your entire script because you feel like it's your only chance.
This is
now,
true.
The story of this movie is actually quite sad. He had to leave because of a family emergency, and then Joss Whedon took over and ruined the movie. That is very sad. I'm not disagreeing with that. But I'm tired of people saying, oh, the Zack Snyder Justice League. And then he just did Rebel Moon and it got terrible reviews. And he was like, well, that's because I couldn't do my own director's cut of Rebel Moon. And I was like, at what point are you just a bad director? If you need, like, you can't ride this wave of I'm the victim. The studios are silencing me for so long before we're just like, dude, this isn't working. So Zack Snyder, also, there's no such thing as a director's cut unless the director sits down in the chair and edits the movie themselves.
That's not how this works. As someone who edits, that is factually correct.
Right. That's not how this works. And I'm tired of pretentious film bros saying that Zack Snyder's Justice League is great because it's fine, but it's not good. It's just pretentious. It's in 5:4 and because it can. Anyway, how would I do it? Listen, I'm going to be a little sneaky on this one. And I'm going to follow me on this one. So, Zack Snyder is making this movie, right? Before Joss Whedon takes it over. And I'm like, Zack, buddy, what are you doing? Don't you want to make Rebel Moon instead? And I would simply just show up and he would say, who are you? And I'd say, that's not important. I think you'd rather make Rebel Moon. And he would say, how do you know about Rebel Moon? I haven't even talked to anyone about Rebel Moon. And then I say, Zack, Rebel Moon is the friends we made along the way. Don't you want friends? And then he's like, yeah, I mean, I guess. I just didn't really have a lot of friends growing up. And I'm like, shh, Zacky Poo, don't worry about it. Don't make the Justice League. It's not worth it. DC, it's a crapshoot, all right? They're about to make a Joker movie and it's going to do really good and then the sequel's going to flop. That's not important. Follow your heart and follow your dreams. And if you don't, I'm going to kill you. Now, that's in a scenario where he's resisting. That's not my choice. That's more of if necessary. Then he ditches the Justice League entirely. Joss Whedon doesn't even have to take over. We don't even have to watch the Joss Whedon version of the Justice League or the Zack Snyder version, right? That is how I sneakily double kill both Justice League movies. And then, DC goes bankrupt. And we never have to, actually watch Lady Gaga sing in Joker 2. Anyway, that's my plan.
You're kind of real for that. I'm not going to lie.
Plan. There we go. Would you like to review your...
Yes.
Review your draft?
Actually, do you have extras left over?
I have a couple. I couldn't... Hit me with some of your extras.
Okay, I got 4 extras. The one I said that everyone pretends already doesn't exist is the Eternals.
I forgot about that.
I also have the original Super Mario Bros. Movie. The original Haunted Mansion movie. And Avatar, Fire and Ash.
Oh. Yeah, no. Was that another Spawn kill?
Could have gotten another Spawn kill on a James Cameron movie. I really thought about it. But
dang.
Decided against it.
Yeah. I had the Garfield movie from this year.
Ooh.
That movie was god-awful. I had Jurassic World Dominion. I had Turning Red. And then the one that I almost did instead of Justice League was the Lego Movie 2.
What?
Listen.
What?
Do we need it?
Yes.
I don't think we need it. No one talks about it.
It's so good.
It just tarnishes the reputation of the first one because the first one's so good. The first one's so good. The second one isn't as good. So let's just not worry about it.
No.
Let's just sweep it under the rug and just let the Lego Batman movie do his thing.
No. I disagree.
All right. So review me your draft list, your top 5.
All right. Movies I would delete. Forever. Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea. Spider-Man, Beyond the Spider-Verse. The live-action Snow White. And La La Land.
Wow. Interesting list. Two Spawn camps and La La Land, which is just wild. All right. Movies I'd delete forever. The 2019 Lion King. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Spider-Man No Way Home, Toy Story 4, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. So, we'll try to post these somewhere and have you vote on where they go. That'll go in probably like a YouTube community tab and then on the Instagram as well. And we'll update you on who has the best draft for movies. So, unless you have anything else to add, I think we're ready to wrap up here. So, hey. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Nerdiest Podcast. If you'd like to support the show, make sure you give us 5 stars. Send this episode to a friend that you think would enjoy, because word of mouth is the best way for us to grow. If that's not enough for you, then please buy merch on the website, thenerdiestpodcast.com. We have amazing shirts, hats, stickers, mugs, everything you could think of. You can also become a Spotify member and get a bonus episode every month on the Nerdiest Aftershow for only $3 a month. We cannot wait to see you in the next episode. But until then, we will see you. Bye.